Here we have a lesson that focuses on two sisters, Martha and Mary. Now, one of the things you need to know about this passage of Scripture is what's not in the passage. It's, in fact, kind of strange what's not in the passage. And we find out what's not in the passage by reading John's gospel account of the same situation. Listen to it. See if you figure out what's missing. 6 days before the Passover, Jesus came to Bethany, the home of Lazarus, whom he had raised from the dead. There they gave a dinner for him. Martha served, and Lazarus was one of those reclining with him. Mary took a pound of costly perfume made of pure nard, anointed Jesus' feet, and wiped them with her hair. The house was filled with the fragrance of the perfume. But Judas Iscariot, one of his disciples, the one who was about to betray him, said, "Why was this perfume not sold for 300 denarii and the money given to the poor?" Wait a minute. Why would John's account and Luke's account be so different? And why would they be included in a gospel that was written a generation later than what actually happened? Why was this remembered by the disciples of Jesus? In one account, we have basically Martha's perspective. Now, I don't know how you were raised in the church, but I was raised in a church that had Sunday school, and in that Sunday school, we had a board, and it was made of flannel. And it was called a flannelgraph, flannelgram or whatever, I don't remember. And this particular portrayal was done this way. Over here was a picture of Jesus and Mary and a couple other people around. And over here was a picture of Martha in the kitchen. Now, if you pay attention to the Gospel of Luke, what happens here is Martha is fed up. She's doing all the work while her sister is hanging out with the boys. Now, there's nothing wrong with what Martha is doing. In fact, it's a blessing. She's preparing a meal, and that's what John's gospel says about it. Martha was going to serve them, and that's a great thing, to serve your company, to be a good host. And that's what Martha is doing. There's nothing wrong with what Martha was doing, right? Well, let me ask it another way. If I asked you whether you are a Martha or a Mary, don't raise your hand. I don't want you to be embarrassed. Many of you would say you're a Martha. Focused on productivity, focused on getting the task done, focused on your to-do list, focused on being the kind of person that people can count on to do what needs to get done. And in fact, the Marthas of the world are the people that are affirmed in our society. In fact, we affirm the Martha perspective so much that we kind of base the worth of a person on their productivity. You We've heard it. Oh, I just want my kids to be productive members of society. Well, he's been injured, but we hope one day he'll be able to return and have a productive life. And we've heard of people and policies and situations where if someone is not economically productive, they're not really worth a whole lot. And so Martha is upset, maybe rightfully so. And so she looks through the door from the kitchen to the living room. She sees Jesus, her brother Lazarus, and her sister Mary. And so she goes over when someone else is carrying the conversation for a moment and whispers in Jesus' ear, Jesus, doesn't this bother you? Mary is not helping at all. And an overarching theme here is that Mary should. No comment about Lazarus. But Mary should help Martha. Jesus, this should bother you. Would you please tell my sister to get up and come help me in the kitchen? For those of you who are not aware, this is called triangulation. Martha doesn't go to Mary, Martha goes to Jesus to talk to Mary. Ever happen anything like this in your family? Anybody? So here's the deal. First of all, what we're looking at is a question of temperament. Martha is that kind of person. You ever known someone who doesn't ask for help, but then complains when nobody helps him? I regularly faced that when I pastored. People who were responsible for maintaining the church building, and all of you know what that's like. If you're a member here, you know how difficult it is to maintain a church building. And I would have men who say, well, I was doing this on Saturday and nobody came to help. Well, did you ask anybody? Well, I told some people that I was going to be here working. And it just ticks me off. And this is why Jesus responds to Martha with, Martha, you getting the job done is part of who you are. And I love you for that. The problem is your anxiety about it. The problem is you're carrying this burden for that everything has to be perfect all the time, and I have to just work and work and work, and there's no way in the world that when I invite Jesus into my house that the meal is not going to be perfect. Nothing wrong with that either. But Martha, this is messing with your head. You're anxious about so many things. Now, we don't know how often this happens. We don't know whether Mary does this all the time. We don't know whether Mary often will help in the kitchen. We don't know if Lazarus is kind of like Martha's sous chef most of the time. We don't know any of that. All we know is in this situation, Martha is upset, and Jesus tells her, you're missing the point. This is a great moment. This is a wonderful, relaxing time where we can just be together and enjoy each other, and you're getting all upset. Martha, calm down. Mary's perspective here is a healthier one, Jesus says. Now, so if we got the temperament thing, maybe Martha's just that kind of person, Mary's just this kind of person, and that's okay. There's different ways of doing life, and we have to learn how to accept that. We can't expect everybody to have the same priorities we do. If the issue is Martha's anxiety, Jesus is saying, take a break. We'll be fine. Enjoy the moment. Now, what Martha didn't know, maybe because it hadn't happened yet, or maybe it had happened and Martha didn't see it, or Martha didn't care because she didn't see how important it was, she didn't know what Mary's work was going to be. And Mary does something that is really countercultural. If it was countercultural for Mary not to be in the kitchen and to be with the men surrounding by Jesus to talk about, deep things and stuff like that, then it was really countercultural for Mary to take maybe the most expensive thing they had in the house and anoint Jesus in a custom like what you would do for someone who had died. Here's why I think both accounts are in Scripture. Scholars are clear. They believe it's the same account, same thing going on. Here's what I think. In the midst of this spiritual, theological dynamic going on where Mary does this amazing thing, kind of probably emotionally, probably spur of the moment, kind of intuitively, because that's the temperament that Mary has. She kind of just does this, doesn't think. She leaves the room, not to go help Martha. She leaves the room to go and get the perfume that's been put in a special place for a special moment. And Mary intuitively says, this is the special moment when I'm going to do this. And we get all caught up in what happens next, which is Judas Iscariot yelling at Jesus for allowing this to happen and all that kind of thing. We get caught up in all that and we miss the point that is carried through from Luke's story, which is the relationship is the most important thing. And what Jesus does in this moment by talking to Martha is, we need to work this out. We need for you and your sister to get on the same page. We need relationships to lead. And so we have a situation here where Martha is upset at Mary, but she's not talking to Mary about it. But you know she will. And what's going to be her attitude and what's going to be Mary's? Mary is doing this emotional release. It's going to probably put her in a state of, this was the most significant moment in my life. And then she's going to be attacked by her sister for something that she didn't even realize she was. You ever been there as a family? So the three lessons. One is temperament. Different strokes for different folks. Cy and the Family Stone sang. Anxiety. Do we really need to get all about this? And do we understand the importance of relationships? How to forgive, how to heal. What's more important, this moment when I was upset or us sisters being together? What's more important in our community? What's more important in our church? Accept accepting one another's differences, understanding that the things that rile me up the most may not be the most important things, and focusing on how we keep our relationships together. It's ordinary time in the church. That's what the green is all about. A time when we focus on our own spiritual life and how we're to live it out in the real world. And this story, told two ways, is about all of that. By the way, let's see. It's 11:21. Do you know what that means? You have spent almost an hour being completely unproductive. You have not come here to work. You have not come here to get things done. You have come here to worship, which is what Mary was doing. Do you allow yourself to focus on the most important thing? I hope you do. Let's sing together.